Alrighty, we're continuing on from where we stopped off last time. Our king has finally come of age at 18. We do have an heir, though she's a daughter. The game has updated, so we're now officially on patch 1.0.8. Hopefully that doesn't break anything. I don't think it will. If we check, we can see that we're still in Iron Man mode. Looks like we're still eligible for achievements. So surely things are working as they should be, right? I guess we'll see. For our goals for this episode, I'd like to try and reach the point where I can accept banking. I mean, I'm at there now, but it's going to cost me a lot of gold that I don't have and a lot of stability that I'd rather not spend, because I really want to get the light ship as quickly as possible. Once we do, we're going to kind of go crazy and start spreading our maritime presence as fast as we can around all of the UK. There's a few provinces I really want to get high maritime presence close to so I can get high control in them. One of the obvious ones would be Barnstable here, which, as you can see, we have 0 control in, because the reason why I'd want to get high control in this province is because it is a silver producing province. Normally I might slap a bailiff on this province and build it up, but because there's a unique building that gets built in all of your Cornish provinces at the beginning of the game-ish called the Stannery Court, or as I'm going to call it, the Stanley Court. This building is terrible. It increases the local power of both the burghers and the peasants by 100%, and it decreases control by 25%, completely countering a bailiff, which increases control. Well, it increases proximity by 20%, which would lead to a 15% increase. So getting rid of these Stannery Courts, or Stanley Courts, is kind of something we really want to do. But no, of course, to get rid of them, we have to reach the requirements, which is either the year is 1601, when the tin mining event can occur, or we get control of 50% in the location, which is going to be pretty hard because, after all, the Stannery Court gives -25 control. So we'll see what we can do. Maritime presence might give us what we need to get control up to 50%. If not, it's not the end of the world. We'll do our best, though, to spread control and maritime presence to the whole of the UK. I heard in the most recent patch they've now made it so that vassals do not convert provinces and locations at the rate they were doing. So the meta of just converting everything using vassals may have been removed. We'll see. Well, as I mentioned last time in a comment, I think I mentioned, I don't really like the idea of mass converting things anyway. We'll see how it goes. Next year, in game, obviously, we're actually going to be able to pass the mutually offensive... No, not next year. In 3 years, we're going to be able to pass the mutually exclusive law for our union, which means we'll be able to call France into our wars and also be called into their wars. That's the time when we're going to start wanting to conquer Iberia. The hardest part is going to be getting claims on the 3 thrones down here of Aragon, Castile, and of course Portugal. The Portuguese heir is actually married to our aunt, but I don't think that results in us getting a claim on the throne. No, that's wrong. I'm sorry. His mother is our aunt. His father is married to our aunt. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when we'd get a claim on the throne. Maybe we'll get a claim on the throne the moment we unpause the game. I guess we'll see. So let's unpause the game. Apparently we've immediately got an event that says the schism is over. I don't think this was supposed to happen. The schism was very much in its early stages, so we can put that down as a bug. Not a great start for this video. Hopefully the patch hasn't broken anything more. We're also going to pass an inquisitorial law. I like passing papal control because, sure, it only gives 10% pop conversion speed as opposed to the local court does, but it does give estate satisfaction of 1, which means every estate is essentially going to get 1 free satisfaction, which in turn will increase the amount of money they are willing to pay without going into negative satisfaction. One thing of note now is that most of our estates, if we look at them, their satisfaction is pretty high, but their maximum tax is at maximum. With that in mind, we can't tax them any further, even though they're willing to pay more tax without being upset. So we'd like to find a way to increase our maximum tax if possible, so that we can tax these guys as much as they want to tax. They want to pay us. There's just this unknowable force that's preventing them from doing so. One of the main things that's decreasing the tax is, of course, their power. So the obvious one would be to increase our crown power and therefore decrease their power by extension. One of the things people keep mentioning is how I'm not really appointing anyone to my cabinet, and that's because I don't really have any crown members to appoint. And I don't really want to appoint these other people because they'll decrease my crown power, which is already not as high as it could be. Crown power is currently sitting at around 26%, which is quite low. We're very close to the 25 point where we would lose out on control, and all these bonuses would turn into negatives. One thing we are going to do, though, is we have one member of our family currently appointed to the cabinet. This guy, he's 36. We're going to promote him to the head of the cabinet. It'll cost us 5 legitimacy, but we're making so much money right now. 5 legitimacy isn't a big deal. It will give us, because he's a member of our house, essentially, give us 25% crown power increase, which is definitely nice. But this modifier is reliant on him being alive. So when he dies, we'll lose it, which is unfortunate. Hopefully he stays alive for a long time, because this costs me 300 gold plus 5 prestige. So if he does die quickly, I'll be upset. If we wait a month, we'll see the effects of such a decision. There, our crown power has climbed all the way up to 30. Isn't that nice? If we look over the economy, you'll see that some of the power of the estates has decreased, which will increase the maximum tax, though not by much. The best way to increase our prestige, our control, would be to start revoking some of these laws from the nobility. To be honest, though, it's really expensive, and I'd kind of prefer to find a way to get it down before we do so. There are some privileges we can hand out to other estates that may reduce the power of the nobility. Are there? I'm sure there was one. I may have already done it. Maybe it was a clergy one. Or maybe I dreamed it. That's entirely possible. I do think that really we should want to hand out as many privileges as we can. I think a lot of people kind of sleep on privileges. A lot of them are really good, and you kind of want to hand them out despite it decreasing your overall crown power. But for now, I think we're going to try and keep our crown power at around the 30 range. If we increase it higher, if we can increase it higher, we'll start thinking about handing out some of the better privileges. For now, we're just going to continue to kind of hang around here. It's not the most exciting thing, but it's what's happening. We finally finished integrating some of our Britannian provinces. We only have one left to integrate, Nates, so we'll begin doing so. We're not getting anything from these locations and provinces, really, because control is so low, but that's just how it goes. Once we get our maritime presence up, we can start maybe gaining something from these provinces. Well, here's an event. It just gives us the option to kill our 1-year-old daughter, because apparently she's an omen of destruction and disaster. Or we can just say no and gain some religious influence. Well, there's not much reason to kill her, so I think we'll just say no and gain some religious influence. If she was a truly terrible heir, I might consider it, but hopefully we have a son, and so she doesn't end up being the heir at all. In which case, killing her wouldn't really achieve much. One thing I kind of want to do is switch to the favoured son succession law. Though we don't have any sons, this succession law can go through our siblings, although we don't have any brothers either. I'm not sure if it would go through uncles. It may well do so, but our uncle doesn't have any children either. So what are you going to do? Favourite change to a favoured son won't benefit us now, and it might actually backfire if our daughter if we don't end up having a son. So we'll kind of stay with what we have for the moment. And now we have another event that just kind of kills our ruler, though we're not really going to want that. Or we have another event that gives us minus 50 stability. Oh boy, I love events like this. We don't really want our ruler to die because he's only just come of age. And we'll just end up in another regency with a 2-year-old. So we're going to say no. Goodbye my stability. It was a small price to pay. France has actually managed to overtake us in its position as the junior member of the personal union, probably because we lost so much stability, really reduced our score. But I'm sure it'll be fine. If the worst comes to the worst, we could embrace an institution to just massively increase our score. A coalition is forming against us again. So we'll start improving relationships with these various ne'er-do-wells who dislike us. It turns out Elizabeth is slow. Oh boy. Please have another child, Edward. You and your wife are only in their 20s. Surely it's possible for you to still have children. Wow, France is really going up high on the great powered list. Oh, he embraced an institution, that's why. I think we're going to match him then. We're going to embrace the professionalism institution to try and catch up. We now have access to professionalism. Oh boy. That caused us to shoot up the ranking, so now we're just a little behind France. In fact, we're 0.02 behind. We can increase our stability a little. We'll easily overtake them. We're able to pass a new parliamentary issue. I don't think there's any laws we want to change. Although maybe we should change aristocratic court. It does increase the cost of the court, or not much. I'll move us towards aristocracy, but it does make the nobles happier. But is there one we kind of prefer? I kind of like unitary court. I'm probably saying that wrong. But it just decreases proximity cost over land by just 10%, which is pretty nice. But I don't think we're going to change this one. Nope, I don't think we'll change anything. Instead, we're going to demand additional taxes, which should give us a pretty penny, as it will increase how much tax the estates can pay. And as I talked about earlier, our estates could be paying us more. You'll see immediately our taxes jump up to 60%. well, no, 60 gold. And our peasants are paying 55% of their taxes without getting upset. Since we have access to professional armies now, it's probably best to go down the tree. Is there anything else I want in the original tree? I kind of want noble estate satisfaction equilibrium because it means they'll be able to pay more tax willingly without getting upset. Religious war is quite nice, but we don't really have any religious enemies right now, so that's not useful. 10% decrease cost in founding cities and upgrading towns is definitely nice, but money's not really going to be an object soon. So I think instead we'll just go straight on and start grabbing professionalism. The law we kind of want to go down to first is the recruitment law. No, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not the recruitment law. I guess it's the armory, because once we build armories, we'll get a lot more manpower, and we can start creating armies for real. We're also going to want to grab coastal fort. We have a lot of coasts, and coastal forts actually increase maritime presence in the sea tile next to where they're built. So they're definitely nice to help increase maritime presence together with our navies. Then we'll probably just grab longbowmen. Hopefully by that point we'll be able to research or gain access to banking. Since we have quite a high income, I think we're going to start exploring the world. I guess we'll just start off exploring wherever. We'll start off by exploring the Azores, or whatever they're called. Who should we send? I guess whoever. Does it matter? Do these stats? Yeah, I think diplomacy is good as an explorer, but it doesn't. Oh, I guess maybe diplomacy isn't that good. Military makes it go faster, and admin makes it cheaper. Diplomacy just decreases the preparation time. Oh well, I guess we'll send this Admund fellow. Costs us a cheeky 100 gold, but we have lots of gold. We'll send this Edmund guy to explore somewhere else. And we'll send this Lewis guy to explore somewhere else. And we'll send the last person, this Norman guy, to explore the Maghreb, or the West Sahara region as it's known. Ah, it's time. We can pass the mutual offensive law within our union. We could just go for a shared offense, which means every member will always be called into a war. It does mean that France, if they go to war, they'll just call us in. We won't be able to say no. We'll probably never say no anyway. I guess we'll just go with a shared defense. If France conquers all of Europe for us, I guess that'd be nice. We just gained a claim on the Castilian throne. I don't know why. I'm not sure. Oh, it's because the current king's married to our elder sister? Either way, I don't think we're going to hesitate. We're just going to go for it right now. Claim the throne. We'll, of course, be calling France in. Oh, no, wait, we won't be calling France in because the law hasn't passed yet. Ooh, how long will it take? Did I not? I was certain I voted to pass it. Maybe I'm crazy. I could have sworn I did. Maybe my prestige wasn't high enough when I clicked it, so it didn't go through. How strange. Oh well. Well, we don't need the French anyway. It's going to be us versus Castile in a straight numbers fight. We kind of have a little bit of an advantage, but we also have our many vassals that are going to join us. Well, they have their one single vassal, so let's just do it. Castile can join the family, willing or otherwise. One of the advantages of France being our union is that we can land in their land and just walk to Castile. We won't need to worry about upsetting the French or having to gain access. We automatically have access because we're family. We've managed to do it. We've managed to get a whole army across. It was a lot of work. All right, we'll put this Edmund guy in charge because we don't really want to risk our king dying. We'll send him to Brittany, actually, to link up with the few soldiers we have there. I'll bring over these small amount of guys that are just hanging out on these islands. What's the Castilian navy looking like? They have 41 ships, but do we know what kind of ships they are? Can I see? Yes, they've got 4 galleys, 17 light ships. So we kind of don't want to tangle with them since we've only got ourselves a couple of boats, 5 galleys, and the rest are transports. So we're going to hang back home with our navy. On we go. We're going to get military access from Aragon. They're at war with Castile, so they should be totally fine with us coming through. We're first going to have to bust through this fort here before we can achieve anything of note. Guess we'll just do our best. I might actually bring my navy over and see if we can catch some enemy transport ships. If they all die, though, remember that it was a mistake and I shouldn't have done it. Who's over here? These are all light ships, so we probably don't want to engage them. Just hide in the port. We can request a cardinal seat, which we're going to do. Where should we request it? Some of these things are red. I don't know if that means they're good or bad, because this one here that only has 7,000 population is really blue. I guess we'll do it in a city. Let's say Canterbury is probably the obvious one, right? Because that's kind of what happened in real life. But I'm going to do it in York instead. Let's see what the Pope says. Pope accepted. Cardinal seat's now being built. We look at the cardinal seat. It provides local literacy 2.5, local food consumption by 20% for the clergy, and gives us a cardinal. What does a cardinal do? Representation of the Catholic Church, just immediately behind the Pope. They will be loyal to the country that owns the building. We can use cardinals to participate in Cura actions. We're going to jump out of our port and grab these Spanish galleys that were just hanging around. Even though we won, we lost a ship of both a galley and a transport. They must have researched better ships than us. Doesn't really matter though. Galleys are kind of useless, so we're kind of happy if they die. Right, we managed to siege down this fort. Now we have access to the interior of Spain. Let's take a look at the war goal. We're going to need around 60 war score to do this. It's going to give us 300 antagonism with people. I guess let's start preemptively improving relationships with Portugal and Aragon, just in case. Maybe Provence as well. Genoa, Sicily too. Taking the capital would probably give us a lot of war score. How strong is the Spanish army right now? They're still at 28,000. I'm a little hesitant to head straight for the capital though. I think we're gonna claim the cities along the way. I kind of want the Spanish to come and try and de-siege the fort so that we can turn around and smash them, which would give us the ability to just conquer their interior without much problem. We're going to begin sieging the Spanish capital. It's probably going to take a while, unfortunately. Our spy network, together with offense and the general's admin ability, is bringing down the time it takes for the ticks, but it'll still probably take a while. For some reason, our vassals up here aren't bringing their soldiers down. Is it because they don't have military access through France? It could be. If I ask for military access through France, will my vassals come over? Let's have a look. Doesn't look like it, unfortunately. Oh well, that's a problem that will kind of solve itself once we gain the ability to call France into our wars, because they will by default be in the war, and so our vassals will be able to pass through. Since we're doing a new parliament, we're actually going to ask for get a casus belli on Scotland. We'd like to finish them off entirely. Where should we take? I guess that we'll go for Fife, because that's where their capital is. There, we've taken the Spanish capital. Still need to get the war score up though. Haven't seen a hide nor hair of their army though. Could be anywhere. I guess let's just start occupying these minor cities. There's the Spanish army. It looks like they just nipped some of our vassals that were over there. We've managed to pass the assured offensive law for our union. We can now pass a diplomatic law. We're going to pass unified external diplomacy, which allows us to enforce peace on our junior partners and increases the cost of the war with no casus belli war goal. I'm not sure if that applies to just us or just the senior partner. It also makes the junior partners diplomatically limited, which I think might help them not declare their own wars. We'll see. I don't think it does though. It'd be nice if we could call France into the war now, since we now have the means to do so. We can call them into the war. Let's do it. Come on, France. Join the conflict. We actually caught the Spanish over there. That's great. Gives us a lot of war score. Are the French joining in? Doesn't look like it. That's too bad. I'm not sure why they're not joining, because I'm clicking the button. That's just how it goes, I guess. That's how some of these things just roll. You press the button and nothing happens. But I don't think we really need the French. We're doing just fine without them. Let's grab these Spanish as they're trying to re-siege their capital. We've managed to slip our war score into the positive now. Let's see. We're 58% of the way from them accepting. Let's try and just siege down cities without forts, just so we can do this as fast as possible. Because of course, taking forts takes time, and we'd rather not spend our time fighting this war too long. We've gained access to the armory, finally. Now we can start building an actual military without relying on levies, which is something I definitely like to do. We're going to build an armory everywhere we can, essentially. We'll start off by building one, even if the location can have more than one. And then we'll see what our manpower income looks like after that, and we may build more if need be. I'm pretty confident now, so I'm going to start splitting up my army into smaller stacks to carpet siege the Spanish. Their army is over here, so it might be a bit risky, because I don't know exactly where they've gone. Hopefully we'll be able to find them without our armies getting sniped. No, looks like one of our armies got sniped down there. It looks like we also ran into a Spanish army and stat wiped them over here. What's our status in the war? They're very close to making peace, actually. The problem is we need to actually get a war score above 10. Enforcing a peace goal in requires having at least 10 war score. Looks like we're over 10 now though, so it should be fine. Ooh, we actually lost this battle because our army's morale was too low when we arrived. That's what happens when you're rushing to get to the enemy. Not a big deal overall. We'll just regroup. How willing are they to accept? Not that close now because they just won that battle, so they're thinking they're really strong and can actually fight us. But we know the truth. Let's remerge our armies up. Grab this small Spanish stack. Take them out. Trivial. Let's try and grab the much larger Spanish stack that's around here somewhere. There they are, minding their own business over in Leon. Let's nab them. There they go. Will they make peace now? They will. Do we have any prisoners? Yeah, let's sell them off first for the reduced antagonism. And there we go. Our glorious union now includes France, us, and of course Castile. Beautiful. Castile is going to leave the union though immediately because they have a different successor. I think this might be just due to it needing a moment for them to tick up and acknowledge the new successor. So we're not going to be that worried about it. Let's fire our general. We don't need a general anymore. Send these soldiers up, put them on the ships and send them home. Yep, Castile is now accepted. Just before we do anything else, I want to check their succession law. They're using cognatic primogeniture, the same as us? Yeah, looks like it. So we don't need to worry about enforcing a new succession law on the Castilian. But their integration level, as you'll see, is very low because they haven't accepted the laws that we have passed. So we'll need to pass a parliamentary issue once we finish with our current vote, which is on the diplomatic liberties, and we'll have to force the Spanish to accept our way of doing things, as they should. Now let's head home. Are we going to attack the Scottish straight away? That's a good question. Maybe we should. They're actually debating excommunicating us over in the church. So we're going to use our one cardinal we have to vote no. It's probably not going to be enough to ensure a no vote, but I mean, you know, it might actually be quite a bad thing, being excommunicated. The Pope really likes us, though. Maybe it'll be easy to de-excommunicate ourselves. We'll have to see. I wish I could see the countries that are voting yes. Currently, I can only see the countries that are voting that are undecided voters. Well, we know Upper Bavaria is the one starting it, so maybe if we improve our relationships with them, we'll be able to counter it. There we go. We've got the unified external diplomacy. Now, if we go to the parliament here, we can call a parliament for the union. Now, in order to bring the Castilians up to the same level as us, we need to bribe one of their estates. Only one. We can choose which one we bribe, but it doesn't really matter. Let's choose to bribe the burghers, just because why not? What exactly do they want? The things they want seem to be pretty random. They usually just want us to pass a law that applies to Castile, or reduce the taxes or such they pay. We'll choose this one to increase the relationship between Castile and the Republic of Candia. Seems stupid. It'll cost us 8 legitimacy, 274 gold that will go to the burghers in Castile, and once we do that, which we'll do straight away, we'll see that Castile's it'll take, I think we have to wait 300 days, and then Castile will be brought up to the same level as integration as the rest of us. They too, like the French, will be able to be called into any wars we fight from this point on. We've been excommunicated, but that's expected. We'll start improving the relationship with Castile. We'd like to get them on side. Being excommunicated might have decreased our score. No, maybe not. What does excommunicate actually do? Where can I see it? Huh? Oh, we weren't the ones being voted on excommunicated, were we? It was Upper Bavaria that was voting on being excommunicated, is that right? No? Am I crazy? Who was excommunicated? I swear it was us. No? Maybe the vote didn't pass. I wasn't paying enough attention. That's what happens. This is why you should pay attention to things when they happen. Right, since we're not being excommunicated, let's do something else with our time. Let's go beat up the Scottish, I think. I think the Casus Belli shouldn't have expired. When does it expire? We could claim Denmark's throne, but it's kind of outside my set goals, as it were. We could wait 3 years to declare on Scotland, but I think we're going to do so now, once we have a diplomat. We actually don't have any. Let's stop improving relationship with the Welsh. We don't need that anymore, because we're close to integrating them. And I guess we don't need to improve relationship with the Pope either. There's another vote going on in the church, whether to increase the happiness of the clerics, which I don't see why we would vote against. Being a member of the church is clearly a lot of work. We have to do all these votes. Oh yeah, we can stop increasing our spy network in Spain now, don't need that. Now we can actually start thinking about building a big army, because we've started to get a flow of manpower. 22 is not a lot. Maybe we are going to build those extra armories that I mentioned, instead of just going with the default number. How many armories can you build in a location? I can't quite remember. It's based off population, looks like, as with most buildings. For some reason, though, we can only have 2 in London, while we can have 4 in Leon. I guess apparently Leon has a very high population. More than London? I suppose it does. Why is London's population so low? Is it low? Let's check. The population in London is 30,000. And Learn, wherever it is, can't see it. Need to check the armory. There it is. Learn's population is 60,000. Wow, so move over London. Who cares about London, right? So we'll build loads of armories everywhere. No reason not to. The main thing we'll need to keep an eye on is our supply of weaponry. We need to ensure that enough is being produced in the market to supply these buildings. How much is there a shortage currently? Shortage of firearms, but we don't even know how to produce those yet, so not a big deal. All right, it's time. Let's see if we can't wipe the Scottish off the board with this war. Of course, they're all alone with their 2 vassals, with their 2,000 men, versus us, plus France, plus Castile, plus all of our vassals. What a pity. So for this war, let's see, could we full annex the Scottish? The best tech is probably to full annex them, leaving their vassals, who will then become our vassals once we carry out the annexation, which will in turn increase our score. It looks like we should be able to full annex them. It's going to be kind of close though. We're going to be at like 90, 99 peace, 90, just 90 peace cost. Who will get really angry at this? Castile won't really like it. Portugal won't really like it. Everybody else doesn't seem to care. We're actually going to start gaining favors with the Castile in a minute once we can. Oh, we can't until they like us more. Favors are kind of good because we can use it to just request stuff for free, like military access, without having to pay. We could also use it to ask them to vote for certain what we want in the Cura. And if we get it really high, we can ask to improve the relationship between us and their culture. Speaking of which, are there any subjects we should increase the culture relationship with? Let's just have a little look at our vassals. Pale's an obvious one. Oh wait, no, we don't have enough diplomats. Oh, the horror. Do I even need to raise my whole army to deal with Scotland? Probably not. Let's raise 2,000 men in Norfolk, 1,000 men in Suffolk, 1,000 men in Kent, 1,000 men in Lincolnshire, or it's probably Lincolnshire. We'll gather them all up, around 5,000 or so men, plus our actual standing army. Then we'll just go for a cheeky walk across the northern border. Because Scotland only has 2 forts, it looks like. Shouldn't be a big deal though. Our vassals are already dealing with them by the looks of things. There we go, Parliament has been agreed. Castile will now have the same succession laws and other laws that we've passed as us. They should actually start paying us now through the payments that members of the union have to pay. Yeah, we can see here, the numbers don't quite add up, but we can see that Castile is paying 1 gold, France is paying 1.4 gold, and we're receiving 1.24 gold. That doesn't sound right, but maybe it needs a month to tick. Oh, the French vassals are actually arriving here in France, in Scotland to help. Maybe I didn't even need to do anything. Maybe we could have just sat back and let this war win itself. But it's too late. We're already here. Let's actually take a look at the institution spread currently. What's a good way to see it? If we go to here and then we go to the ages and we hover over. So it looks like what do we want? We want banking. The banking has appeared quite a bit in Aquitaine. Maybe we should ask them to send it over to us, which we can do. As they're our subject, we can ask for, or I thought we could, I'm sure there was something. Maybe not. Well, we can improve cultural relations. That's not what we want. Was it divert trade? No. It's not enforce culture. It's not press sailors. Maybe, are they a dominion or some such? No, they're a fiefdom. Maybe fiefdoms can't do it. There was a subject that could share information with their overlord. I'm just not seeing it. Could have gone blind. Let's go over to the actual panel and look here. Here we go, knowledge sharing. Looks like we can only pass it with countries that are vassals. No? I don't know how it's... Oh, this is us giving them the knowledge, isn't it? Yeah. We don't want that. We want them to give us the knowledge. Maybe there isn't one then. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's in the economic tab. No, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe there never was such an option. Have I been insane this whole time? It's more likely than you think. Maybe I'm dreaming it, like I'm wishing it was there, kind of like in European 4. Oh well, I suppose we'll survive. What we should do is ask people to improve the cultural opinion of English, making Octamic Gascony like us more, so that when we eventually absorb these cultures and nations, their culture will like us more. There we go, Scotland's willing to peace out. We'll peace out for their entire nation, as we like to. Let me make sure. Yep, Scotland no longer exists, as it should be. Oh, we can form Britannia! Oh, should we just do it straight away? Is there a reason not to? Let's hang on a minute. Let me just add a rival. Who should we have? Guess Denmark. We don't care about them. Let's disband our raised levies, as we should. Let's give out some of this land, because we don't... Or should we? We need to own 178 locations in Britain. And giving your land to vassals, I think, doesn't count as owning. So let's form Britannia, first of all, and then we'll divvy out some land. Wow. Now we're Britannia. We've got a cool, slightly pinky color. We still have the option to form Britannia, though. We can't form anything else. So Britannia is basically just Great Britain. It's Great Britain, but because we're Latin, we use a slightly cooler sounding name. All right, so what should we do with this land? Smartest thing to do would just be make a load more vassals just to increase our prestige. Our subject levels. But are there any land that the Scottish vassals control? Well, this one should control the Outer Hebrides. I'm definitely not saying that right. Hebrides is probably right. So we could give them the Isle of Man. Isle of Man's kind of worthless. Let's give them the Isle of Man. I was integrating it, so it'd be a bit of a waste just to hand it over. But, you know, Isle of Man's kind of a waste to exist. And then we've got Argilia here. Does anyone control anything? This guy does, so I guess we'll give him the rest of it. It's only right. It's only fair. It also creates neat borders. Should we expand our existing guys? I think not. We'll just make a bunch more Scottish guys up here to rule this land for us. Are there any cool subjects? We could release Scotland itself, but I kind of don't want to bring them back. We could release Moray. No one else? Nah, we'll release Moray. It's always nice to see them. They can be a vassal. Then we'll make some custom subjects and the rest of it. Since we just made a vassal, let's make a fiefdom. I don't really want to make any dominions up here because this land I kind of want to integrate quite quickly. We'll make another fiefdom, make another vassal. Who should be in charge? We could put our wife in charge. Don't know why we would. We've got a really old Plantagenet woman who's so old she's never going to have any children, probably. Let's put her in charge. Although no, if we do, there's a chance the territory will form into a personal union once she dies, and we don't really want that land to be in a personal union. We'd rather it be, separate. Why am I only getting women here? Where are all of the men? Ah, here we go. For some reason, men are at the bottom. Maybe that's where they belong. Do another fiefdom. And we'll do a final vassal. Can we flip this? Yeah, there we go. Now men are at the top, where they probably belong. And there we go. Sunderland. In one swift move, we have integrated all of... Wait, are we... No, we're not still at war. The thingy is just still there. So what should we do with our parliamentary people? We finally integrated nearly all the territory we control. Obvious thing to do would be increase stability, increase legitimacy. They were at max. A better idea would be to increase control somewhere. When it comes to increasing control, I usually think about the most populated locations, especially since we want to get higher population control because as we see here, population scaled by control is by 40%. I'm not sure if this is based on the province or overall countrywide. Either way, we want to increase control in our highest population locations. So we're going to go for Norfolk. We don't really have a big industry in Norfolk that we'd need to increase control to gain access to. But for now, we're going to increase it there. We're going to wait a month and hopefully our score massively increases so we don't have France constantly... Oh, there we go. Went all the way up to 9th in the rankings, where we belong, surely. Since we became Britannia, we should have access to some new techs. I think there was one in the First Age, but it might be one that England already had researched. I'm not seeing it, so I'm going to assume that. Assuming is a bad thing, but that's what I'm doing. Was there a new one in the Age of Renaissance that we could get that we have access to? I'm not seeing it, so it must be in deeper within the options. Probably just longbowmen, because we need that, because being Britannia gives us that the same way being England did. Let's have a little look, see if we see anything else. Nope, I don't see anything else, so I guess there's going to be nothing new for us for becoming Britannia. In the Renaissance, at least. I really would like it if our king could have another child, please. I don't like only having a daughter. I wanted to stay a Plantagenet. I don't want to lose my dynasty. You can't do this to me. I'm in charge here. I wonder what would happen if we switched to the favoured son succession when we only have a daughter. Would it find a male within the Plantagenet line? Ooh, I think the things might have... No, actually, I thought for a second I thought the mission tree was broken, but I guess not. So if we were to... Where's the nearest male to us? If we went to our father, he's got no sons other than us, obviously, and the Black Prince who died right at the start of the game. We go up a line. The King of Portugal is the closest male heir we kind of have through our ruler's aunt. Outside of him, there's the Count Reinian van Wassenberg of Zuttenhen and his brother, Count of Dau. But where's the closest Plantagenet? Oh, it must be Sir John up here. He's miles away from us, though. I don't know what would happen if I hover over it, it doesn't tell. Usually it tells you who your next closest successor is, but for this one, it doesn't. Probably because he's too far away, or we just don't know. It's a risk. I mean, I do love the favoured son succession law. If I ever get a son, I'll immediately adopt it. It's just scary, you know. I just don't. Is it better to let Elizabeth take the throne and try and marry her off to somebody who is a Plantagenet, or try and marry her off to someone who can then marry a Plantagenet to get the Plantagenets on the throne? Oh, well, there you go. Another daughter's been born. Perfect. Exactly what we wanted. Thanks, bro. Now that we've got all Scotland ticked off, I guess we have to start thinking about dealing with Ireland. One thing I'm curious about is there's this Lordship of Ireland thing where the Pale counts as the Lord of Ireland and he rules Ireland under English rule. I'm not sure what happens if we give all of Ireland to him. Will he form some sort of English Ireland? I should probably check the events. So I would like to kind of give all of England to him, though, just because it would feel right and just before we absorb him. Is there anywhere new for us to explore? Yes, there is, actually. We can explore these islands off the coast here. Let's begin exploration. We'll send Roger. Can't see. I don't know if we can see. Yeah, it looks like they've been colonized by Spain. I can see by Castile. I can see the yellow. How awful. Alrighty, now that we've got 1,000 or so manpower, we're going to turn that manpower into an army. We haven't actually researched any better soldiers, so we only have access to footmen. So for now, let's just make, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because we've already got 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember to always have round numbers, otherwise it upsets my brain if they're not round. That means 5s and 10s only, guys. One thing you can do is having a army in a location actually increases control. Don't know if we can see it here. Yeah, we can see friendly army province increasing control by 0.2. Not a lot, but it's nice to just, once we get bigger armies, we can increase control quite a bit. Because if we consider 1,000 men increases control by 0.2, surely you can do the math. I'll try and do the math while talking at the same time, which is difficult. But so essentially, if you have 5,000 men, we'll increase control by 1 point. And so on, or at least that's how it should work. We're getting close to the point. In 15 years, we'll be able to start integrating our members of our personal union. Oh, there's something I forgot. I kind of wanted to take this land off of Castile and give it back to Portugal, but I completely forgot. Oh well. I'm sure the Portuguese won't be too upset about that. We've gained access to our fortified coastal building. We'll immediately build them everywhere we can build them. There it is, which isn't a lot of places. It's only cities and towns that are on the coast. But it will provide us with passive maritime presence, which is always good. Maritime presence being one of the best stats in the game, in my humble, honest opinion. There is actually an event for Wales to revolt against England, as they should. We don't really... So I kind of want to absorb Wales before that happens, but maybe we should let it happen just to see. Might be interesting. Look at this. Nothing to debate in my parliament. What are they thinking? We could increase our ruler's stats. Maybe that would result in him having a bit more children. But I guess we'll go with support the state. So here's an event, a unique one for us, England. The Lord's Appellant, which I'm saying wrong, which gives us the ruling commission. I was actually checking the files about this ruling commission because you'll see this is a truly terrible reform. I can't quite remember what it was, the way to remove it. I'm actually going to Alt-Tab and check. Because I definitely looked it up, and I remember making a note of it. Because I was like, this is an event that you should be aware of. So as I said, I'm just going to check. I'm going to open the files, go to events. Where's my England? There it is. Ruling. So yes, this gives us the ruling commission. What was the trigger of this? Oh, legitimacy being higher than 75, I think. Yes, higher than 75. The year is between 1370 and 400. And and our crown power estate has to have more than 35 crown power. So if we stayed below 35, this wouldn't have triggered. And if we'd held out until the 1400s. Also, that we're not in a truce with England, France, and we're not at war with them. But how do we get rid of it once we've got it? So there's another event that can also trigger at this time that requires us to have the ruling commission, not be in a truce with France, not be at war with France, control any location in France, it looks like. And then we have the option to remove the ruling commission? Yeah. We have the option to remove the ruling commission and replace it with government power extreme penalty. I'm not sure if that sounds better than a ruling commission. I suppose we'll find out, right? That's part of the fun. Let's go with the ruling commission. It's probably one of the worst reforms in the game, but, you know, I'm a little flexible. It says we can't remove it due to one of more blockers. What are the blockers? Have a legitimacy of 90%. I've established... Ooh. Oh, okay, I thought Castile was declaring war or something then, but no, they're declaring war on Morocco. I don't even think we're going to raise our army. We'll let the French and the Castilians deal with it, right? Not my problem. You can have Morocco, Castile. In reality, they probably just want to grab this little bit here, just to finish the Reconquista as they should. Why is Granada still exist anyway? As I said, we're not going to get involved. The king doesn't require himself to get involved in wars. Those are things for the plebs to fight. Although Normandy's flag looks like our old one. You might be mistaken in thinking we are involved in the war. Oh god, finally! A son was born. Good old William. I think we'll leave him as William. Edwards haven't been serving us very well. So he's a William. Although France and Castile need a second to adapt their succession laws. Yep, there they go. They now have the same son. Everything is now right with the world. All of my fears, they've just washed away in a single moment. One thing we will need to keep an eye on is that our vassals don't occupy Morocco and give the land to us. We'll give it to the Spanish. We want them to control it. Oh, there we go. No, wait, no, that's the wrong one. These guys made peace with Castile. But if any of our vassals take any land, we'll hand it over to the Spanish to get, hopefully Spain. Yeah, France does the same thing. Good. Neither me nor France wants any of this land. We'll let our good buddy Castile have it. Next on the order of agendas, we want to try and get Aragon and Portugal's throne. Since we now have Elizabeth is now freed up as we have a son, we could consider her marrying her to the royal family of Castile, of Aragon or Portugal. Do either of them have? We got Crown Prince Pedro here, who's quite close to coming of age. He'd be a good candidate to marry Elizabeth to, and there she is. She's not a very smart person, but very few people are here in England. I'm sure we'll manage. If we automatically try and marry her, is there anyone that jumps out? Nah. No high prestige nations, or high score nations even. So I think we'll go with the plan of waiting a few years, maybe 2, I think, for the heir of Portugal to come of age. Let's actually mark him as a important character so we can keep a track of him. Then when the moment he does, we'll marry him to Elizabeth, and then we'll just steal his throne. I think we should be able to do it immediately because of how close we'll be to them, hurt him on his throne. We'll see how it goes, though. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we won't be able to do it immediately. Maybe we'll need to wait for him to take the throne. I don't think so, though. Oh, the ruling commission came online, and immediately we have the event to get rid of it. See, if you hadn't conquered France like me, you would be stuck with the ruling commission forever because it requires you to control a part of France. Before we do that, let's think about what law. I guess we'll go for recruitment law. It will make our levies a little better, but instead we'll probably go for new model army for that 10% manpower, but minus 10% food consumption and that quality increase. We could also go for elite army. I guess let's think about it. Let's get recruitment law first, and then we'll think about it. Next on the agenda, I don't really bother with supply carts, honestly, but if we're going to colonize, maybe we should. Instead, though, we're going to go grab firearms. That's not what I wanted to do. How dare you betray me, game, when I'm trying to click things. We'll go grab gunpowder for the military tax buff, and then gunsmith, so we can start creating guns. And then we'll go and grab the cannon makers, so we can start making cannons to bust down those annoying forts. So let's look at this event. The Merciless Parliament. The powerful alliance of the Lords Apparent has forced the King of Britannia to call a parliamentary session to deal with the treacherous nature of cabinet members and the alleged favouritism of the king. They also wish to address the peaceful stance taken towards France. They go so far as to insinuate that secret negotiations are underway to surrender Britannia's foothold on the continent. Parliament is reacted with hostility and sentence almost all involved to death. So we can accept the ruling, which will do nothing, just give us minus 10 legitimacy and it decrease our relationship with France. We can bribe the peers to secure a majority. Wasn't this event meant to remove the parliament? Maybe not. Maybe there's an event we're missing here because maybe there's an option we're missing here. It looks like this top one was supposed to give us add government power, extreme penalty. Maybe that's what the minus 10 legitimacy is. There was supposed to be an option here. Oh, if we had the charismatic negotiator trait, we would remove the ruling commission. I see. But this event can only trigger once. I guess let's just lose the relationship with France. Oh, it killed, it killed John. No. How could you, tooltip, not tell me that? I think can we remove the ruling commission now, though? We need to get our legitimacy back up to 90%. We'll see when it gets there. Maybe I was wrong all along. Maybe the ruling commission can't be defeated once they're in power. Maybe we'll just have to live with the ruling commission forever. Maybe. It'd be quite funny if we do have to live with it forever. It's pretty bad reform. We'll see, though. Part of me somehow doubts. Ooh, wait a minute. We need our legitimacy to be less than 75%. Sounds crazy. This is a crazy reform. We stopped being a great power. What on earth? Everything's just falling apart. Spain didn't even take the provinces that they should have taken from Morocco. Everyone's just cheating me at the moment. Let's start exploring somewhere else. Send this guy from Barking. There's other guy from Barking too. We're not actually doing that too good on economy because I'm spending a lot of money on exploration. But we're going to cut spending costs on legitimacy to try and get legitimacy down below 75%, see if that lets us get rid of the ruling commission. I kind of don't believe it because it kind of sounds silly, but I kind of want to find out as well. Pedro's almost his age. I wish I could see when someone's... Oh yeah, it says there when they're born actually, May 2nd. So when May 2nd rolls around of this year, we should be able to marry him to Elizabeth. As long as Portugal accepts. They should accept, right? I don't see a reason why they wouldn't. We're a nice guy. Portugal kind of absolutely hates us, but looks like John's daughter came of age. We can marry her off. Apparently she's cool enough to be married off to somebody. Guess we'll marry her off to somebody inconsequential. We finally integrated Nates. Now we can do something else with our cabinet position. We don't want to increase stability because we're trying to actually lower... We don't want to increase legitimacy because we're trying to lower it right now. We do have rebels who are actually quite close to rebelling I guess we should try and pacify them. Let's go with the crackdown on these Britons. One of the problems I have with the rebels is actually really easy to deal with them. Usually just slam down on them and that's it. Pedro just came of age, so let's try and royal marry him. Let's check it, click on our daughter, royal marriage. Pedro here, he's not showing up in the list. It's because Portugal hates us. No, I'm a fool. Oh, and we're in a new union, which also doesn't help. I'm a fool. I should have improved relationship with Portugal beforehand. What have I done? Speaking of what have I done, we can pass a legislation within the union. We'll go for aligned legislation, which I believe would force every member of the union to adopt the government reforms and policies were available of their senior partner. It doesn't really matter to us. We don't really care if they have the exact same reforms of us. In fact, we kind of prefer they didn't if we're going to have ruling commission, right? But oh well. If Pedro gets married to someone else, I'll be very upset. But it's probably going to happen just because Portugal just absolutely can't stand us. I think we've actually increased our relationship with them to max. And yeah, looks like it. And it's just not enough to counteract the antagonism. Ooh, 860 due to the 196 antagonism we have. Oh well. We might have to wait a while before we can patch things up with Portugal. How does Aragon feel about us? They don't mind us that much. Do they? He has a son, but he's only 11. I think we'll aim to... we could wait 5 years to try and marry Elizabeth to him. I think we'll go with that. All right, so now we're here. What thing should we pass? I can't pass the new model army because we need to be in the age of Reformation, absolutionism, or resolution, which is something I always forget. So instead, in the choice between peasants or noble levies, I kind of have reached a point where I don't want to use levies anymore. At least I like to avoid to. The choice is pretty easy, though. Noble levies are better than peasant levies, but how many of them are there? Let's take a little look as an example. Let's look... No, this is the wrong screen. Let's hover over this. If we look at our levies in Norfolk, we can see most of them are coming from the peasants, labourers, and soldiers. There are very few of these actual noble levies. If we count, there's 7, 14, 24, 66, 168, it looks like, by my count. So if we increase that by 20%, it would basically take us up to 200, which is kind of nice, right? An extra 200 total mailed knights, kind of cool. But if we did it for the peasants and consider that soldiers, even though they are soldiers, they count as a part of the peasant the peasant estate, which means I think that the peasant levy size applies to them. So if we go back to the Norfolk, so if we take into account that 160 or so of these 3,000, nearly 4,000 men are nobles, then we can consider maybe around 3,700 of them are peasants, and 2% of 3,000 peasants is higher than 20% of 160 nobles. So if we went for pure numbers, it's obvious that the smaller increase for the peasant estate is a lot better than the big increase for the noble estate. But as mentioned, the noble estate does have better units. Here they have mailed knights. We haven't researched better versions of knights, but it is something to keep in mind. Longbowmen are pretty good infantry-wise, though. So as long as we have access to better infantry, there's not much reason to go with the noble estate. Maybe if you live in a country that has lots and lots of nobles and they're providing very big armies, I think it'd be better. Or if your peasants are just so low quality, maybe because you haven't invested in them, that really strong nobles would be what tips you over the edge. But there's also the fact that I don't really want to increase autocracy any further than what it's currently increasing at. So we're going to go with the peasant one. Do we really want to increase free subjects? Not really, but it shouldn't increase it by much. We check our social values. We're actually in free subjects. I didn't even notice. Do we want max free subjects? I don't think so. Serfdom just feels so much better. Sure, they eat more food because serfs are well known for eating just lots of food, having a great time of it food-wise. But we get the raw material output, as well as that maximum tax for the peasant estate. What does free subjects even give us? Pop promotion speed plus 100? I mean, that's pretty good. They eat less because they're free and therefore free to starve. Prosperity also goes up. Prosperity doesn't... I think they did patch prosperity so it was harder to keep it high, but I'm not really having much problem. Yeah, we've got a high decay on prosperity now. But I don't think it's a bigger deal. Oh well. The decision's made. Let's actually wait a month and see how much our levies tick up by. They ticked up by barely anything. It's probably because they're going to take a while to trickle in because they have to replenish now. We're once again a great power. Oh, William, he's smart. I didn't think it was possible. We're going to give him an expensive education. Please don't die of a hunting trip or something. That would be inconvenient.